Welcome. Um, I will be presenting my research on what I have learned from Joshua Tree and its regulations. So I finished early. Um, I was planning to work on this today from 8:30 to 11:30. Right now it's 10. I didn't want to spend too much time on it, but I did want to get a general gist of what we're working with. Um, So, as a brief overview, I use a structured problem solving process to approach this. So, I define the problem, I present a approach, I execute it, and at the end, I learn and make generalizations. Um, so, I think we're working with a couple problems here when we're talking about the trip. The first is, what is the context of the Joshua Tree trip if it were to happen? What are the possible areas that we could access in Joshua Tree? What are the legalities of parking, day use, and night use in Joshua Tree? How heavily regulated is Joshua Tree and the surrounding areas? What are people's firsthand experiences? Are there any patterns? How has COVID affected the park regulations? What are the current and up to date news on Joshua Tree? What are the practical things to consider? And what are my personal recommendations, if any? So, in order to address all these problems, my approach is first mostly to research Joshua Tree. Um, so I do that by researching the geography, roads and passageways, the important attractions and landmarks, locations, as well as the general history of the place. I also research personal experiences from a variety of valuable sources like Reddit or Void. I did not use Yahoo. Current news and laws. I did laws. Not sure if I did news. Um, Anyways, and for each of these areas, I compile relevant slides in PowerPoint, paying special attention to these problems up here. And then I organize it. I'm currently recording and I will upload it to YouTube. And I will text the presentation link before the group call on the 29th of December 2020. So the execution, I am in the process of completing. Process. And I will talk about the results and what I have learned after it is all done. So, without further ado, here's the presentation. So, the group New Year trip, Joshua Tree. Let me make sure I am recording. Okay, I think I'm recording. The group New Year trip, 2021, Joshua Tree. All right, so the context. What is the context for us going into this trip? Well, it sort of seems to be an annual misadventure, quote unquote, trip. And you can see past places we've been to: Mono Lake, Rock Creek, Lost Lake. It's also an opportunity for personal spirituality and rejuvenation. Getting out of staying indoors. For me, it would be mostly with schoolwork, getting away from that, getting back with nature. Symbolic beginning of 2021. It's a new year. And 2020 kind of sucked. So, new beginning, new experiences. New experiences, I guess, mainly for Logan and Nick, in the sense that they haven't been a part of this misadventure, quote unquote, trip, which I am not sure what it entirely means, but Liam could be consulted about the specifics on what he actually means by misadventure. Um, because in one of the messages he said proper misadventure. Well, the thing is, proper and misadventure don't go well together, but that's more on that later. Geography of Joshua Tree. So it's located, as you can see, sort of to the east of Los Angeles, below Mojave National Preserve and Death Valley. It's in the highlighted section here. 5 hours from SLO, around 300 miles. 70 miles south of Mojave National Preserve. 120 miles south of Death Valley National Park. My voice. And it's sandwiched between the 62 and the 10. So you could see that the 62 kind of runs horizontal here where my cursor is, and the 10 runs below here, and in the middle there's some passageways and a lot of roads and off-road trails that you could go to. Highest elevation is almost pushing to 6,000 feet at Quail Mountain. This is the view. Lowest elevation, 500 feet. So it has a wide range of elevation, which is nice. Popular landmarks, Arch Rock, looks cool, very popular. This is sort of along the road, so to speak. You don't have to hike out really to get to it. Keys Ranch, probably not of interest. I think there were rangers giving, I don't know, giving tours, but a lost horse mine, mine the fence. Yeah, I don't know. The fence kind of ruins it. Hall of Horrors. Rock climbers like this place. You could do a lot of rock scaling. This is also sort of along the road, and you don't really have to hike out to get to it. There's this cool, I guess, hallway that you could walk through. Salvation Mountain. 1 hour south of Joshua Tree, 65 miles. This might be good for saving our souls after tripping on San Pedro. Important locations. There's a Joshua Tree Visitor Center that's at the northern end. I think there's two more. I'm not too sure where, but they're as you enter the park, so they're not in the actual park. Then there's a National Horse Ranger Station, which is here sort of in the northern part of the park. But from my understanding, which I'll get into later, it's actually not active right now. There are numerous campsites in the northern section. These are where a lot of the cool rock formations are. All of these are closed. I'll talk about that later. History of Joshua Tree. So there have been 3 different Native American tribes here. The place has been harassed by land developers and cactus poachers during the 1920s, and it was set apart as a national monument in 1936, thankfully. It was elevated to park status as a part of, basically in 1994. And yeah, other facts, whole bunch of plant species, reptile species, mammal species, birds, a lot of historic structures, landscapes, archaeological sites, 93 miles of paved roads, 103 miles of unpaved roads, the Forerunner. The park maintains 95 vehicles. Yeah, personal experiences. So this is interesting. I looked on what people's experiences were. So there was this one person online who said that he went out, camped, took acid, and let's see what he says. He says, we were running around on rock formations and laughing our asses off. It was like we were children playing in nature's playground. There were no other people around, so we were yelling and having a great time. While climbing, I noticed it was kind of hard to tell how high up we were. As I put it at the time, I have no idea how dangerous I'm supposed to think this is. And he goes on, and he basically goes into a bad trip because he gets sort of paranoid about himself, and it's common, I guess. but the bad trip surprisingly wasn't really. It was all in his head. He wasn't really. It wasn't really related to other people around or anything like that. Um, First, this is another personal experiences I read. Um, so this person says that he saw that Juniper Flats was pretty full. That's sort of a destination, um, and there he was saying that there were a lot of full parking lots, um, even at the backcountry camping. He says he saw too many people with inappropriate gear trying to hike out, struggling with all the weight that they brought for car camping. If you think you have to backcountry camp, be prepared to leave the 75-pound coolers and some of your heavy stuff behind. Backcountry camping isn't as easy as you think it could be. Yeah, so common sense. This one's called Acid and Joshua Tree and Me. I can't zoom in, but he says, quote unquote, I went into this trip with a positive mindset. And no doubt he had a good trip. Um, so, past regulations, well, there's a lot of campsites there. Um, all of these are sort of irrelevant now because they're closed, no camping. Quiet hours, they don't like fires there. Um, fire, and they don't like, where does it say? Where's the part? It says do not burn combustible objects other than firewood. So, something to keep in mind. Cancellations and closures. So, right now, all the campgrounds are closed, all the park ranger programs are closed. Yeah, so that's good. No rangers. Freedom. So, backcountry camping is cool. Then there's a whole wide list of places: Black Rock Canyon, Conwood, a whole bunch of places where you basically go and you could backcountry out, so you could hike long time. Um, and in order to do that, it's easy. You kind of just go in the parking lot, you fill out the form they have, and you put it in a drop post, and you put a thing on your car. But that's super easy. No fees for that. Usually they have an entrance fee, $30 for 7 days. But I guess I don't have it. But it's not in effect. It's not currently in effect for the new year until January 1st. So my recommendations: January 1st might be a good time to get out of slow. There's an option to go early and backpack to a remote area, which would be nice. Other considerations: well, I may go to the place January 2nd and return on the 3rd. One of us could always drop a pin. But yeah, it would be nice to be in a remote area for sure. Practical considerations: annoying people late at night. Take the San Pedro early. I don't know. Having mega lights might be annoying. Maybe just glow sticks and not candles. But other considerations: Spungle. Yeah, it's some really good music actually. If celebrating New Year's there, foodie food, drugs. Do we not invite Nick? Do we want to visit any of the popular destinations? It's a crowded time of year. Also, alcohol's effect on the sleep and health. I measured with my own ring that it raises your resting heart rate and reduces your heart rate variability. So it really doesn't let you recover that well. So just something to keep in mind. Fire-free solutions. Do we want to bring food that doesn't require fire? especially if it's just for a night. I don't know, or do we want to, especially since there's so many people around? I don't know. I don't have the answer, but it's something to think about. Okay. So that was basically it. I kind of winged it. So execution, finish that. Results, I talked about that in all my slides. Learning, well, I think delegating team members of the group with assignments is useful. Hopefully this was useful information. I would be interested to know more about Death Valley and Inyo National Forest. And it sounds like Joshua Tree will be a potentially crowded Anarchyville, but I don't think regulations are too much of a concern, just others and being somewhat mindful. Yeah, so that's basically it.